Hello and welcome. It's time for the ProView Sports Report. Glad you're along with us today. Aaron Rivera with Steve Davis. And Steve, district play, it's here. We're already in that first week of it. We've had some exciting games. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But also, our last tournament of the season, the Hope Christian Tournament, just went down, and it was a really fun one.
It really was, and it was fun to see. All the games were very entertaining. We'll see it more because I wasn't there, so I get to see the highlights of it. So, but the 2 days before that, it was a great environment, and I want to thank the Hope hospitality room. They've always so good and gracious to us and all that. So they take good care of us, But let's get started. I can't wait, man.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of them. We're going to go ahead and start with the girls' championship. So we had the West Las Vegas Dons taking on the Los Lunas Tigers, two teams that love to run full court. They like to get steals involved. You take a look right here, right at the beginning, Veda Golino. You're going to see a lot of her with that big three. And these two teams, battled back and forth a lot. They like those long shots. And early on, West Las Vegas was keeping the lead up. They were getting these full court pressures. Alexis Pacheco, Steve, she's probably one of the best players in 3A right now.
And a great softball player too. She's got scholarships, so great to see that.
Yeah, she'll be heading to I believe it was Lubbock Christian is where she's going to go. But you see right here, Los Lunas. This is what they've the resurgence of Los Lunas girls basketball has been something to watch, Steve, and it's because Veda Golino and some of these other players, they can do these full court pressures.
Well, it starts with a Coach Vigil. And watching him on the sidelines and working the deal, it reminded me of Marty's out there. He's making a name of himself on this, and they're fun to watch.
Yeah, and you can see right here, so we're still tight as the third quarter ends. There's Kayla Finley on that little screen and go. This is the screen and go to Kayla Finley. They had back-to-back plays to her as gave Los Lunas that lead. They've got it. Tessa Hadamio all tournament long. She was nailing key threes, but with no time left, Shiana Montoya puts it tied 44, and that led them to overtime. But that is where we see here Finley, and she's going to hit Veda Golino on this one, and Golino took it over. 11 points in the overtime for Veda Golino. You see Tessa Hadamio get the steal. Who does she feed it to? Veda Golino. Why not? Golino had an excellent overtime there, and the Los Lunas Tigers would emerge as the champions, 56-50 in the Hope Christian Tournament. This is a great season. Only 3 losses for them, 16-3 on the year. We're going to look at the top 10s later on, but the coaches poll. But Los Lunas, that's a team to look for in 5A.
Well, especially and we'll get to it later, but after watching, Sandy and La Cueva, they're in that top bunch. They're right there.
Here's Veda Golino.
Talk about how you guys got this win.
I think we just started working together hard and just playing defense to get our skills and just playing as a team.
A physical game, Veda. West Las Vegas brought everything they had. They were winning through most of the first quarter and early in the second quarter, but you guys pulled it together. You guys got a deep bench. 8 or 9 girls contributed. Must feel good to walk away as a champion today.
Yes, it does. Very good. I'm very excited.
Congratulations. Way to play.
So you saw right there, they win that one. And, moving on into that district, they've got some strong teams in there, including the Albuquerque High Bulldogs. That's going to be, I think, the biggest challenge for Los Lunas. Playing against a team like that, of course, West Mesa, always a threat in that district as well. So Los Lunas kind of have their work cut out for them, but that's certainly going to be the favorite in their district.
Well, that's a must-see game. Just put that on ProView, because when you go to Albuquerque High and Los Lunas, it's going to be probably for the district championship in that district.
Yeah, almost certainly.
But like you said, but don't forget about West Mesa.
Yeah, can't leave some of these other teams out as well. And so now let's go ahead and take a look at the boys' side. We're going to start in the semifinals because right now there's a new favorite in 4A. We'll talk about it when we get to the coaches poll. But first, Artesia, who was on the bottom of that top 10 in the coaches poll, they got to play St. Pius, who is up near the top. And early on, Pius is leading. Isaiah Carpenter's matching up really well with Clay Kincaid inside. But then you start seeing these plays happening. Clay Kincaid coming up, cleaning it up. You were doing this game with Leroy, Steve. You know, what did you think when you were watching early on with St. Pius?
Well, let me speak on Artesia first. Mondragon, athletic. I mean, and I thought that just watching them warm up and watching their athletic, they're not football players. These guys are basketball players, and they're athletic, and they can do a lot of things. And then with St. Pius, I just thought that they had to play a perfect game, and that and they didn't quit. McConnell hits a shot right there, and
That was Zamora, yeah.
But he had like 3 4-point plays. So I mean, 2 4-point plays in one game. How great is that? How great passes that was.
Yeah, that one, and you'll see that one later when we look at the top 10. But here's Mason Montoya. But I mean, this man, number 3 that we've been seeing in all these highlights. Here's Braylon Vega setting it up. But the guy who does all the setups for them, this man right here, Charlie Campbell. There's him going to the basket. Tons of points for him. But Charlie Campbell looks almost like Magic Johnson out the way he distributes the ball.
Well, like I said, and their basketball IQ, you know, we get to sit, you know, by the visiting bench or whatever, and I got to listen to Mondragon's talk and the assistant coaches talk, and, you know, their players react to what they say, and they're very knowledgeable, and they play basketball. They're either on defense or offense, and that's for me is fun to see student athletes just play the game and enjoy themselves. And they look like they're all having fun. I mean, it's like, you know, I mean, the bench comes in and they're all energetic. So great job to Artesia.
Yeah, and so we're going to see a little bit more of them as we're going to go to the top 10 first before we take a look at the championship. But, I mean, one thing, Steve, with Artesia that I've noticed over the last few years, especially last season, all the guys that play basketball also play football. And then all the guys who play baseball tend to play basketball or football as well. I mean, you're seeing kind of the similar groups of kids.
They share their athletes is what they share the athletes, and that's why Artesia's, you know, one of the, you know, best programs for athletics in the state of New Mexico.
Yeah, and in fact, Coach Mondragon talked about that on the sports desk earlier this week when he was on there with Ed. That, you know, it's a big give and take, but also, you know, these kids have so much cohesion because they're playing with each other all year. It doesn't matter what the sport is. They really have that level of cohesion.
Well, they do it. And like I said, this, and it was, if I, you know, and I could be exaggerating or deal, but I think before going into this weekend, they were number 7, and all of a sudden they're number 1, and we'll get to that in a little. I don't want to jump ahead.
Oh, no, it's okay. Well, we'll take a look because they had a big task ahead of them with the Hope Christian Huskies. But first, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Everguard Roofing and Solar Top 10 Plays of the Week.
Ramlin working against Cox. Here comes the trap.
They're going to come
He
the ball.
lost it
Good
again.
steal.
Here comes a dunk in transition for Jaden Cox.
Going to the half. Campbell goes all the way. Oh, look at that little chicanery. And in trouble. Gets it back out to Jayla Cordova. Over to Kendra Sanchez. Her 3. Rims in. Counted and a foul. Chance for the old traditional 4-point play for Campbell looking down low, flips it across. Oh, if that was a clean look. Pulls up. Oh, my.
Or drawing board, rather. As that's a steal by Koningsberg to open the third. The layup is good. Trouble, Horner to Montoya, the baseline jumper for the tie, connects! Cheyenne Montoya with the biggest shot of the game.
Zone. There's another one. Get out the cameras again. Butler, 2 in a row. One hand this time.
Call from the Artesia sideline is patience as they find Kincaid inside for the 2-hand hammer.
Poked away by by Butler. He'll get it back in transition. Butler with the two-hand hammer. Gerard Panini's got a clipboard in his hand. He is a stat numbers guru, so you know he's aware. Oh, what a putback for Cox.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. For over 20 years, Evergard Roofing and Solar has been committed to customer service. Locally owned and operated, Evergard offers both commercial and residential roofing and solar services. For more info, please call 505-821-9543. Evergard Roofing and Solar are proud supporters of ProView Sports Network and New Mexico Youth Athletics.
I'm David C. Chavez, personal injury attorney. Our law firm was founded by my father, Thibaut J. Chavez, with one goal: to get New Mexicans the help they need. That's why we built a different kind of law firm. We focus on family values, dedicated service, and we make a real contribution by giving back to our communities. We can't change what happened to you or your loved ones, but we can help you get back on the road to recovery. We're by your side, and we're still as local as red and green.
Welcome back here, ProView Sports Report. Aaron Rivera along with ProView President Steve Davis. And so if you didn't get the giveaway on those top 10s, here's the battle between the Artesia Bulldogs and the Hope Christian Huskies. It was for the championship here. These two teams matched up in the quarterfinals last season in the state championship. Hope Christian came out on top. And early on, it's a tight game, but we can see a lot of Trent Eaglin. He's going to be getting involved a lot. And then, of course, Clay Kincaid and Charlie Campbell. I mean, Charlie Campbell all weekend long was just dealing.
But he's one of the premier guards in the state. He's just when he's athletic, he sees the court, and he has the ability to score.
Yeah, you see that score right there. Hope Christian down early on. They did not give up, though. As the buzzer sounds, Lincoln Sneed buries a big three to set them up. And then, right as the second half starts, you see Logan Konigsberg, who had a really good weekend. You know, Logan Konigsberg kind of took over in that game that you and Leroy did, as Charlie Campbell comes up here and puts the points in. But Konigsberg, for Hope Christian, they need guys who can get involved more and more, and I think Logan Konigsberg is really going to be that guy for them.
No, this team is, like I said, they got a lot of weapons, and look at them block out. They just do a lot of good things.
But it was tough for them, as every time they'd get in, Artesia would do something like that. Big jam there for Kincaid, and then you see Charlie Campbell get the steal. They were within 2 points at one point, and now all of a sudden, you know, it's opened back up to 10. And then just from that point on, Charlie Campbell took the game over. They started fouling him late, and so in the end, the final score was 61-45 in favor of the Artesia Bulldogs. And I mean, just a big statement for them, Steve, because you got to come all the way up to Albuquerque if you're Artesia. That's the long drive. You're staying in a hotel the whole time. It's tournament basketball atmosphere.
Well, I tell you, and it's great that Mondragon does come up here. And this tournament, I mean, you look at probably 5 of these teams that are in. They're going to be in the they might be in the finals of the state tournament.
Absolutely. Here's Charlie Campbell with his
comments. At least the top 8. Okay.
Yeah.
Shot right at the rim. Talk about the leadership role you play on this team.
I mean, I just want to guide them to the right direction, and especially early, so they see like little things that we can improve on throughout the game. And so by the end of the game, I was telling Big Man like he needs to step a little bit more. By the end of the game, he got a dunk because he stepped a little bit more, and I'm glad he's following me and he listens to what my knowledge that I'm seeing.
Hope makes a run at the end of that third quarter. They cut the lead to 2. Then you guys go on a 7-0 run to close the third. You make those 3 free throws at the end of the third, and you guys didn't really look back in the fourth. That was a big moment for you guys.
Yes, sir. I mean, if they go on a run, we just got to slow down, execute, finish, and then defense is huge. We can't let them keep getting on bigger and bigger runs.
So, again, 61-45 was the final score on that. And, you know, Steve, we kind of have talked about it a few times this year that in 4A there's no top dog, the way that in 5A boys everybody's looking at Volcano Vista like, can somebody beat them? In 4A right now, it's kind of wide open.
Everybody has a hole. I mean, they think they can win the state. That's what's so great about it. Every one of them think that they can win, and there's like 8 or 9 teams that really believe that they can be in the finals.
Absolutely. And, you know, when we look at this Artesia team, the reason I like to talk about them so much is, so in the last 4 or 5 years, the teams that won boys 4A have had that guy, whether it's Jesus Lincoln last year, whether it was Jose Murillo, the first time that Highland won under Coach Woody. You know, we had Shane Dumas-Sanchez for Del Norte, Kellen Garris for Albuquerque Academy, even though that team had a lot of weapons. I mean, there's always that guy in the 4A teams that leads his team, and Charlie Campbell certainly fits that mold for Artesia.
He does, and he also has a great supporting cast with him too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not all him. I mean, they got 4 players, so they got 5 players, and then they got a bench.
Mm-hmm.
They come in, they don't let down when their bench comes in. So like I said, Artesia from the eye test, from what I've seen, and I've seen a few games now, and I'm getting I think right now they're the team to beat right now.
They're absolutely the team to beat, and we'll go ahead and take a look at our scoreboard for some other scores that we've seen so far this week in the state of New Mexico. We'll start on that girls' side. So we did have an upset with the Mayfield Trojans beating the Las Cruces Bulldogs.
It's not an upset when George Maya's coaching. Okay?
It's true.
So this, you better be prepared. But I tell you, when you see Las Cruces and Shelby she's a great coach, and they're fans of New Mexico's Highlands, and they listen to Scott and I. So I want to shout out to them. Thanks for supporting New Mexico Highlands basketball.
And yeah, a couple other scores from outside of the city. Logan beating Melrose in a game that, that will absolutely matter down the road in those single A levels. Logan winning that one 41-43. Carlsbad beating Lovington narrowly 47-42. Two teams that are ranked in the coaches' polls. And then Los Lunas Tigers, they continued their winning way, beating West Mesa in the opening district game 44-35. Again, we were talking about that Los Lunas girls team, how much they're trying to cement their way into that district victory. Volcano Vista beating Piedra Vista, two teams that were, kind of shaky. Volcano Vista was on a 5-game skid coming into that game. They were able to finally put away a team. They'd lost, Steve, 3 games in a row by less than 3 points that they had led in the fourth quarter. This time they were finally able to keep Piedra Vista out. Manzano narrowly beats El Dorado 53-50, and then Farmington and Rio Rancho, that's a big one on the girls' side.
Big game right there. Farmington, it's always neat to see Farmington, but the point differential is what is a big concern right there.
Yeah, because Rio Rancho, it seemed like this is a team that's surging to potentially make a run at the state tournament, and then their new district foes in the Farmington Scorpions, they put up 63-44. That's a big, big game for them. And then the last one, game that you did yesterday, Steve, La Cueva 39, Sandia 57.
I'll tell you what, Sandia rebounded from, probably a disappointment. We wanted to see a Hobbs-Sandia final in the Metro tournament, and they didn't make it, and they came out, and it was 16-2, I think, in the first quarter.
Wow. 2
free throws. No basket was made. And then after that, La Cueva rebounded and basically played them even. I think after that point, I think there was like a 3 or 4 point differential. But the first quarter, they just came out and just really just put it to La Cueva.
And so then on to the boys' side, this one just an interesting score. Melrose 102, Lake Arthur 2. So Melrose able to put up 100 points. We're going to have to keep an eye on
my boy Hatley, the football coach, I mean, he's got those, and he's learning how to coach basketball, so that's scary.
Yeah, so, right. Well, and Drew just won that state championship.
Right.
Then Farmington, this is another interesting one. Farmington, Rio Rancho on the boys' side. Farmington wins.
And on the road. Mm-hmm. That's on the road. So that's even more amazing what Coach Chitty's doing right there. So.
And so Academy beats Valley 52-40. West Las Vegas Dons in, what is for 3A the Power Conference or the Power District, beating Santa Fe Indian School 57-66 for the Dons. That's going to be big because, St. Mike's, Robertson, West Las Vegas, Santa Fe Indian, those teams are always in the, the top 4 at the end of the season. Artesia, who just won that Hope Christian tournament, playing a tight one against the Roswell Coyotes. And, almost beating a 5A team. We'll talk about it after the next break. But, great team in that 4A side. The West Mesa Mustangs, Los Lunas Tigers battled out pretty strong. Los Lunas started out, Steve, 7
You
for
were at
7.
that game.
Yeah, I did that game.
Tough.
Los Lunas started out 7 for 7 from the three-point range. They led West Mesa, and it was last-second free throws that won West Mesa the game. Highland beats Del Norte, and we will come back after the break and talk about this Albuquerque-Atrisco game and what that means. But that is our ProView scoreboard for this week. We're going to take one more quick break, and we'll be right back on the ProView Sports Report.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Welcome back, ProView Sports Report. Aaron Rivera here with ProView President Steve Davis. And so, as we were going to break right there, we were talking about this Albuquerque High Atrisco game. Atrisco, considered one of the favorites to win in that district, and Albuquerque High beats them. This has been a resurgent team under Coach Barella. Albuquerque High last season, they battled their way to the semifinals. This is a team looking good, like they could maybe make the same run.
Well, I read the paper, and they've been winning, but they've been winning ugly. And he said they haven't been playing. He said when they played at Atrisco, this first game that they played for 32 minutes, and and I just did a game with him, and what's the biggest thing his concern is Steve said we're not playing for 32 minutes. When I can't wait for that day because we haven't reached our peak. And what it's time to start peaking is over the next 3 or 4 weeks is the time to start playing your best basketball.
Yeah, and one thing that coaches mention all the time is there's kind of 3 seasons, right? So you have your regular season with the tournaments, with playing different teams.
Preseason is basically what it is.
Pretty much. It does affects your numbers later on, but then you get to season number 2, your district season, and then you're going to play that district tournament. And then the third season, the biggest season, of course, is the state basketball tournament.
Well, you want to get in the top 16, so that's the deal. You get in the top 16, and then to go one step further than that, you want to be in the top 8 where you get a home game.
Yeah, that's
the best. It doesn't matter if you're 1 through 8, as long as you get a home game, that's so important.
Yeah, in that very first round. Well, speaking of the top teams, let's take a look at some of the coaches' poll numbers. And I guess we'll start with the boys. Technical director and producer Aldani Awani helping us out today. So take a look right here. So we'll start, because we've been talking about him, Artesia right there, 13 votes for the number 1 spot in the top 10. And then Espanola Valley getting 4, Steve. So Artesia, St. Pius, Espanola Valley, Hope Christian, Pewaukee is your top 5 for 4A. That's a crazy kind of shakeup from how things have been.
Well, back to the 4A with academies is to me is misplaced. Okay, and they're 10-5. They did beat Pius. Okay, so you can make that. Head to head at Pius, and they beat Hope Christian. No, they haven't played Hope Christian yet. So
no,
that's going to be. But they're the team that I think they're truthfully a top 3 team. I really do. And right now my favorite is Artesia, the eye test from Artesia. And the academy's got size. They got they're starting to play well, and they play that zone, and their length bothers everybody. And they played Sandia to a 7-point game last week. So.
Yeah, and with Highland, when this came out at the beginning of the week, Highland sitting 7-8. They did beat Del Norte, so they'll end up now 8-8. And Jesus Lincoln's back. Just talking a little bit to some people who've seen the games. He's not 100% yet, but when he starts coming back for Highland, that's going to be huge for them. And then, you look, Valley, they were in the state tournament last season. They're sitting there in the 8th spot, that kind of bubble spot with them, Del Norte, and Taos, where all those teams are looking to get that home game.
Well, with Valley right now, they play well if they shoot well. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and they look bad if they don't shoot well. I mean, they have to score from the outside to deal. They don't have an inside presence, and then Del Norte is always McIntosh. I mean, those top, and then Taos. I got to watch Taos, so Taos and Taos might be underrated right now. They're number 10. I might put them a little bit higher, but I haven't seen Milwaukee play, and they're 11-4. So.
Yeah. Well, in Ely, we talk about the height. With Valley, they're led by Angelito Villa as a scorer, but Taos, they've got another Ely inside, and of course, he's another big physical forward for them, so that could help them out. Well, let's switch over to the 5A right now. No surprises over there. Volcano Vista, top seed. Sandia second. Hobbs third. Cleveland, Roswell, Oregon Mountain, Rio Rancho. Cibola cracking into it. As Alden said, let's go Cougs. Sitting 9-3. They're 9-4 now, if I'm correct. And then Albuquerque High and La Cueva. But, no Atrisco now. Albuquerque High has taken that spot, the only team from that district. Anybody that you see missing there, Steve, or anybody lower or higher?
Well, I want to speak in La Cueva. I think La Cueva's team teams to watch is La Cueva, Albuquerque High, Cibola, and tell you, Cleveland they beat Cibola the other night, and they beat them handily in that fourth quarter, and they deserve to be where they're at. I haven't seen Roswell play, and I've seen Oregon Mountain. Oregon Mountain's a team that will get better. So I still don't think there's anybody that can take on Volcano Vista. They're still playing for first, but the parity's getting closer. People are learning they're trying to figure out how to beat Volcano Vista, but Sandia came close, but you got to play 32 minutes, and if a team can't play 32 minutes, they're not going to beat Volcano Vista. And Volcano, over and over, they still haven't played, in my level,
a full game.
Okay.
No, and it's been difficult. Well, so we're kind of running out of time, but so we'll take a look now at the girls' side. Hobbs sitting at the top, as you expect. Sandia, who's bouncing back right now, sits second, which is fair. They lost to Kirtland Central, who's the number 2 in girls 4A. Gallup, the number 1 in that side, and just talking to a few coaches who've watched it, they think Gallup is the team to beat there in 4A. The West Las Vegas Dons, who played that tight game, we watched them. They're sitting at top class 3A. Mesa Vista in 2A, and Roy Mascaro, no surprises in 1A. So the last thing we'll take a look at here, Steve, is our upcoming schedule for the week, as ProView Networks has some more fun coming your way all weekend long. So Thursday hoops, that is tonight. La Cueva El Dorado, Capital Sandia, Rio Rancho versus Volcano Vista. That's a huge one. The girls hoops for Friday, Hope Christian Academy. That one's going to be big. Volcano versus Rio Rancho should be lots of fun. The Pirates coming to town to play the Sartans, and then Manzano Cibola is Saturday. And breaking, we're also going to be covering La Cueva versus Sandia boys. Western New Mexico is in action tomorrow, or tonight. Texas A&M Kingsville taking on the Mustangs, and then Texas A&M International taking on the Mustangs. And don't forget, Wichita Wings are in town. We'll get a first look at Brian Weems' coached New Mexico runners. So lots of fun going on this weekend, Steve. I think it's going to be another good week of sports.
And then congratulations, Highlands boys. They win their first game last week on the RMAC, so now they're on the road this weekend. Let's see if they can get a road win.
Well, that's all we've got for you here. We want to thank Alden Iowani, who stepped in as our producer today. For Steve Davis, Aaron Rivera saying thanks for watching. Have a good weekend.